but from every potential side you can think of, and as many angles as you're able to, until we begin to realize the implications of that extraordinary fact. We're born, and because of that we get ill. We get old, and we die. Just like the sound of the crickets. They were born, they go through the middle of their life, and they die. And the same as we do. In the midst of this inevitable, difficult-to-escape pattern, we notice that there is mostly conflict and disharmony. Don't we? Does your life run smoothly? I think probably the answer is not too smoothly. Some patches of this disharmony are quite noticeable and quite painful. But much of it is so familiar. We've become so dulled and so immune that we don't even see the pain or recognize the feeling of pain in our hearts. It's just become ordinary. When our mind is in touch with the way things are, we know what's going on within us and going on outside of us. We're with the way things are. We function in the rhythm of nature. So that here, at the end of the day, we realize and acknowledge that this day is moving into the transition which we call night. Night follows day, and day follows night, and night follows day, and so on. This sounds quite simple, but actually if you really understood it, you'd be an extremely wise person. All that which began will fade away and end. Therefore, regardless of anything else that may be occurring in any moment, we can be certain that each and every moment is a moment of change. Albert Einstein, even though a brilliant theoretical physicist and mathematician, once synthesized all his understanding of the world into just this: everything is changing, which is what the ancient meditation masters have been teaching for thousands of years, and they didn't even have a postdoc. When was the last time you allowed yourself to just be, to be in the flow of nature? So much so that you could just sit quietly by while the sun slid silently over the horizon. Here, as I light the candles and the incense, I reflect on wisdom and purity. Buddha's practice is a path of purification which leads into the field of wisdom and compassion. That which makes this journey challenging is the interference of the I, ego, which we continually mistake for a real, permanent, unchanging entity. But it isn't that at all. It is a continuously changing phenomena. And in the quiet of the night, we can catch a glimpse of this fact and see it as an object for contemplation. We're not a stable, continuous personality. That's just a temporary condition. If we continue to think in this mistaken way, then of course we're going to get into all manner of difficulty. We need to work to free ourselves from this who we think we are syndrome. Meditation, that is, walking, sitting, standing, and lying down, are the postures in which we're obliged to meditate. These are the postures which human beings continually must shift into. Just these. We practice observing these postures in our meditation periods and in our daily life, trying not to miss any moments, not to sacrifice any opportunities. Also, the breath is an important tool in this work. There's breath, and for those of you who have yet to explore meditation, you'll find this fact is more significant and more profound than it appears to be. Breath and life are one and the same. Watching the breath, the transition between the material and the ethereal, is an excellent way to meditate. Through diligent observation of the breath, the mind settles and the waking up process begins. In meditation, we always have to ask ourselves, what am I intending to do in this moment? Because without intention, without determination, the mind will just flop around here and there and follow its own inclinations, its own patterns of thoughts, its own ways, its own fantasies, its own desires. There won't be any sharpness in the mind to control the mind, because that will be a mind that doesn't yet have mindfulness awareness. When we input mindfulness awareness, we take control of our mind. We add reflective consciousness. We see the contents of the mind as an object. That means we don't just fall into the stream of consciousness and drown in a sea of unawareness. So in the practice of insight meditation, we're developing, cultivating the mind to see what's going on as an observer, a dynamic participant, not just falling into a trance induced by the various bait which the mind presents to us. So my job here in this cave as a meditator is to continue to observe the movements, the games, and the various different baits offered to me without falling for any of it, without biting into the bait and getting stuck on the hook. Of course, this is not easy. The practice of meditation invites the constant and continuous awareness and alertness and awakefulness that a whole happy human being must have. The practice of meditation invites constant and continuous alertness, awareness, and awakefulness. This is demanding work, but on the other hand, the rewards are great. The mind is brighter, lighter, more awake, more intelligent, and more compassionate. Try this for yourself. There are a couple of useful contemplations which I often ponder several times in a day. They help to remind me of the human situation. They bring things more into focus when things get hazy. We human beings are animated, complex, self-willed, self-regulating organisms. And we're living in a changeable, continuously changing environment. Because of this, we have quite a bit of freedom. But you see, that freedom exists in the midst of duty and obligation, both to ourselves and to the society. The external and internal environment is constantly changing because of cold and heat and damp and humidity and all different kinds of weather conditions. So we're constantly needing to adjust and to adapt. This is the second point. As I see it, the fact that we must continually adapt and change in this manner is an indication that we really don't belong here. I mean, really don't belong here. This is not our real home, not the external world, nor this body.